Hey, Coach. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to our press conference with West Virginia head coach Mark Kellogg. Just a couple reminders. Please silence all cell phones. No cell phone video, flash photography, or video cameras are allowed in the press conference. And media may access press conference video at the NCAA digital workroom. When you have a question, please raise your hand. A microphone will be brought to you. And please, before every question, identify both your name and your affiliation. We'll go ahead and start with an opening comments from Coach Kellogg.
Yeah, thanks, Steve. Great to be here. We are thrilled. This has been a fantastic, really first year. I'm almost a year into it from the coaching standpoint when we got here a year ago, and we had goals and dreams and and visions for what the program can be, and really excited and proud of the group that we've had and the year we've had. So battled some adversity along the way, got off to the great start, I guess, to the season, and then battled through some adversity once we got into the Big 12 and some really close games. But I thought we've gotten better through it, gotten a little bit healthier here as of late. And excited to be here, excited for the opportunity. When it's March Madness and when your name gets called, there's always something really, really special about that. And I never want our kids to take that for granted or our program to take that for granted. So really excited. Obviously, we know what's in front of us and a difficult task in Princeton, and I'm sure we may have some questions there. But really excited for the opportunity to compete again and take the floor one more time, at least with this team. That's all you're guaranteed, is one more. And so we need to go out and play our best and see what we can do.
All right, thank you, Coach. Go ahead to Dennis in the front.
Dennis Dodd, CBS Sports. Mark, I wonder if you could just ruminate about Caitlin Clark and what this is her building, this is her program. You're a step away from playing her, obviously, and then just the reaction of your remarks on Selection Sunday. I guess you have to watch when the cameras are rolling at all times.
Yeah, and it wasn't really even about that. I mean, to your, I guess, initial question is, she's the greatest scorer in basketball history. She's fun to watch. My kids are here. They love to watch her. A lot of people, even that sit in my seat, can sit and watch as a fan because she's talented. She's changed our game. She's changed viewership. And it's not just her, but she certainly is the face. But the coaching staff puts her in a position to shine and let her teammates shine around her. And so I think it's more than her, from what I can tell. Honestly, I haven't studied them a ton yet as a coach. I've watched much more as a fan than I have yet as, scouting and trying to figure out a game plan, because we aren't to that yet. And it really wasn't about, to your next question, there was so much talk and conversation that led to that. Like it's kind of been fun, I guess, in a way since then, but that wasn't the intent. Like, I'm not a trash talking. I wasn't out to get Caitlin Clark. Like, it's not Mark Kellogg versus Caitlin Clark. It really was, there was some surprise in the room is kind of how it got going with our seed is really where it started. And so it was, oh, whoa, like, okay, like, thought we were a little, that wasn't really the seed maybe that some people in the room were expecting, not even from me necessarily. And so it turned into, okay, well, let's get past that. Now let's talk about Princeton. So we discussed Princeton, as we should, and talked through what we knew about them. And then it came to Iowa, and we talked about Iowa. And then, of course, everybody in the room knows Caitlin Clark. And so it turned into Caitlin Clark. And actually somebody else in the room is the one that used the packing line to me, and it turned into, well, guys, if we want to go do something special, we have to win one, and then we would have to send Caitlin Clark home, essentially, metaphorically, because people are all over it now. It's like home. Well, she's going to be home if you were to win. I'm like, yeah, it wasn't really like, it's all been like kind of half so funny. Like, there was really no intent in any way. I wasn't trying to do anything other than we had a group of people there that asked all the questions, and we talked it all through, and that came out. And then, how social media works. The clip just kept getting, I'd see it, and the clip just keeps getting shorter and shorter and shorter and shorter. And then finally, by the end of it, it was Mark Kellogg's calling out Caitlin Clark or whatever. So anyway, it's where we've gotten. But I promise our attention has solely been on Princeton. Like, we haven't even discussed Iowa other than the initial, when it came out and where we were going and those types of things. But she's a generational talent, and, we would be fortunate to get the opportunity to play against her, but we've got plenty of business first.
Steve
Silverman, Ivy Hoops Online. Coach, let's continue to talk about Caitlin, the other Caitlin.
Thank you.
Yeah, and let's talk about Princeton as well.
You bet.
What do you expect from them tomorrow? What are the challenges your team will be up against, and specifically, how do you hope to contain the other Caitlin Chen, in tomorrow's game?
Yeah, because that Caitlin's really, really good too. I mean, she is special good. Watched her a ton, just trying to figure out what we're going to do to slow her and slow them down. But I think extremely, extremely well coached. They run great stuff. They're veteran. They've done this now. I think it's 5 consecutive, if I'm not mistaken. They've won the first game the last 2 years, against North Carolina State and Kentucky. So we know we know, they have our complete attention. Our full attention is on Princeton. We know how good they are. Played a great non-conference schedule, other than, I guess, the Columbia loss, right? Kind of handled the Ivy schedule, I thought, the way that you would expect a really quality team to do, and so I think those 3 guards that start are really good. The other kid off the bench, the guard, is really good, 13, can play. And then those posts are tough. They're physical. They're strong. They're good. I think they're really, really good. This is going to be one of the best teams that we've played all year. So we've got to find ways to slow them down, on the offensive end. And then they may not get enough credit for how good they are defensively. I think this team is really, really good on the defensive end. They're solid, very fundamental in what they do. And they just do a great job on both ends. This is a very well-balanced basketball team.
Go back to Dennis here in the front. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Jen Hadfield with the next. 2 questions about, your scouting of Princeton. First one, you talked a little bit about the post, and I'm curious to get your take on the rebounding battle, with Princeton being one of the best rebounding teams in the country by rebounding rate, just how you approach that. And then just defensively, I know you guys are both really tough defensive teams. Can you kind of compare and contrast your style versus theirs defensively for me?
Sure. I thought you were going to say we are not a good rebounding team, but you just talked about them. It's been our Achilles heel without question, and it's every night for us. I mean, we've been in the Big 12 playing against elite size and rebounding, and we've had to figure out how to at least just hang around. A lot of rebounding, though, is limiting second chance points, so I think that's something to keep an eye on, is just, what do those rebounds lead to? And we find different ways to steal possessions, which a lot of times has been steals for us. And so that's how we kind of counteract or counterbalance the rebounding that has just been an Achilles heel for us. So we know that coming in. We've got some ideas on maybe how we can try to slow it down a little bit, but a lot of it is just personnel, and they pursue it, and they're really good at it. And so we've got to be dialed in there. And then, both teams, I think, are really good defensively. We just do it completely opposite ways. Ours is making you uncomfortable with our pressure and obviously the press, and we can, get some runs fairly quickly if you don't value the basketball, and we can get out in the open floor and get going and use some of our speed and our quickness, and they do it the other way. Take away your space, be there on every single catch. Their hands are high. I know their 3-point field goal percent defense is not great, but they don't give up very many either. So it's kind of it's really a weird dynamic when teams shoot it at the rate they do, but they still only give up, I think, 5.8 threes a game, which is not a ton. So that will be an interesting thing to keep an eye on, as well as what happens both ways from the 3-point line, I think.
Mark, you said something interesting at the top. You said she's the greatest scorer in college basketball history. Does all this transcend gender? What she's done?
I think so, yeah. I do. I think this is the stuff she's doing at her age, the shot she takes, the confidence she has, and I think the ability to pass, too. We talk about her, the score, but then she averages, I don't know, it's 9+, right? I think 9+ assists per game. That's what just even takes it to a whole nother level. She's a dynamic scorer, has been, always was. And I do think it both genders. So when I say that, I'm talking men and women, and I think she's the biggest name in college basketball right now, men or women, right? I think all the eyes are on Caitlin Clark. I don't know how we were talking about that out here. How does she maneuver Iowa City day to day in a town like this, with that name and everything that she's done for our sport and really basketball in general? She's completely changing a lot of what our sport has been, and I think the direction that it's going.
Joe Mercado, West Virginia Metro News. Mark, you obviously knew the type of player that Jordan was coming into this year. Did you expect maybe some more growing pains as she got used to the major conference level, or were you not surprised at all to see what she's done?
Yeah, honestly, not too surprised. Talking about Jordan Harrison, right? So, Jordan Harrison came with me from Stephen F. Austin and had a really, really good freshman year and, really picked up where she left off. I thought she might have a little bit of an adjustment period early. but really not too bad. She has really picked up. I thought she's a phenomenal defender, always has been. To have her and JJ out there together is as elite as it gets. But she's the point guard. She's the brains behind it. She's the coach on the floor, with me, and just leads us. And our team looks at her to lead us. And so I think that's, she's just a sophomore, so she's continuing to grow. This will be her first NCAA tournament, but I'm excited to watch her, and I think she's prepared her whole life for this.
Gritty, MSN. When you look at J.J. Quinterly, her growth over the season, had All-America recognition, Big 12 Defensive Player of the Year, but maybe the most standout thing is her growth as a leader as well, since we're on that topic. Feels like she's more comfortable being that number one, sort of a reluctant superstar. Seems like she's grown in that role in just this 1 year.
Yeah, no, I would say so. Yeah, I've termed her the unassuming superstar all year, and was really even quiet when I first got here. She's opened up a ton. She's learned how to communicate a little bit better, learned how to lead. It's not vocally all the time. Most of the time, it's just by her effort. But I think she's grown into that. I think I don't know how she was when she was just up here, but hopefully she did a pretty good job, because she's come a long way in that area, in the ability to speak. But I think if you came to a home game and you watched the 50 to 100 little girls that were waiting for her outside the Country Roads gate, in Morgantown to get her autograph, that says something. We were getting pictures at Halloween with little girls dressed up as JJ with her little tattoos on their body, trying to look like JJ. So, no, we have a state that's rallied around her, but to her credit, she's taken onus of it and really taken it to a whole nother level.
Go ahead, Steve.
Steve Silverman, Ivy Hoops Online. Coach, you come into this tournament actually having lost 4 of your last 6, although I'll note that all of those losses, save one, were against teams in the tournament this year, so high-quality opponents. But does that concern you at all? Is that all behind now, or is there any concern on your part that there's a little bit of carryover on a bit of a slow finish to the regular season?
No, not at all. Other than we need to find ways to win those close games. But no, great opponents. The Oklahoma State would be the exception, who was still a really, really good basketball team. Top, I think, 60 net. Just didn't make the NCAA tournament, and that was our 3rd game in 6 days. And that was the only game, to be honest with you, that I was a little disappointed in our performance all year. We didn't have it. We didn't have the juice. We couldn't get over that hump at all in that game. But we go to K-State and lose in overtime. Ayoka had come back, I think the game before, go to Baylor and get beaten a really good game, lose in a heartbreaker to Baylor at home, a game that we should have and, had every opportunity to win that one, and then have a 3 to tie Kansas State again in the Big 12 tournament. So those are high-quality opponents, and we are right there. We have been right there. And I think, to answer your question, I guess, is I hope that's just a learning experience for us that helps us, in these types of situations. And that's what you hope the Big 12 has done for us, is because we've been in so many close games. Some we've lost, some you win, but you're better because of that you've played those games. So these are good opponents. It's going to come down to the 4th quarter in some way, shape, or form, I have a feeling, and then it's kind of who makes the most plays late.
We have time for one more question.
Joe Picato, West Virginia Metro News. Mark, have you seen a team get so much offense from their mid-range game as Princeton does? Do they compare to any Big 12 opponent?
No, we have some that are very much mid-range driven, probably not the quality and quantity of Princeton. They shoot it at a high percentage, which you just don't see a lot. And, the analytics tell you not to shoot that shot, and then you watch Princeton do it, and they do it at such a high level. You're like, yeah, okay, maybe it's still, not too much of a lost art if you can do it the way that they do it. I haven't ever. This is a team that does it like at so many different positions. Normally you have 1 or 2 kids on a roster that live at the mid range, but they just keep coming and they keep coming. And so it's taught, it's practiced, it's recruited, but they're pretty efficient, at it. And so that's what scares you a little bit. Normally at times you're okay giving it up a little bit, but you probably better be careful against Princeton because they kind of make a living in that area.
All right. Thank you, Coach. Thanks,
Okay.
everyone.
Thanks, everybody.